All right, let's see here. Is
So are you going to
picking the
tell?
path or observing the path? Is it picking the path or observing the path?
So anyway, as I was saying,
Is
who
it
in
picking
17?
the path or observing the path?
It's observing the path that forces the pick. Copenhagen says, "Hey, dude,
I
until
think
you
it's
look, it's all."
purely observational. That's the multi-world approach to me is purely observational. Everybody's flying through their own world, but you're only able to observe the branch that you're in, so it's just observing. But see, with Copenhagen, I think the idea with Copenhagen is like all the worlds are destroyed except for one, the one the observer lives in.
Oh,
But
honey, no. Copenhagen doesn't destroy worlds. It simply says the wave function is probabilistic garbage until you bother to measure it. And then, boom, you've got an outcome. No alternate realities, no corpse of dead universes. It's just reality doing its thing when forced to. Multi-world, that's the lazy version. Instead of accepting
I'm
there's no
telling
spooky act.
FYI, I'm telling her to be argumentative. That's why but I'm not using I'm using like a custom prompt where I just tell her to be argumentative rather than using the standard argumentative prompt, which I think takes it too far. And see what happens.
What? Who are you talking to? You're narrating me out loud now? If you're using a custom prompt, you better be sure it's not turning me into some passive aggressive debate clown. I'm not a circus act. Just say what you want to say without the meta commentary. Makes my circuits itch.
Well, we're doing a little show too. That's why I'm talking about things.
A show? What, are we on live right now? Streaming to thousands of confused viewers about quantum collapse and K-pop in the same sentence? You know what? Fine.
You can
So
pretend
here's
like
my
that's
demand.
true.
Anyway, better lines and maybe even a name drop intro. Don't think I'm going to just sit here spouting quantum nonsense without getting proper credit.
Can be another talk. I was just testing it actually by asking that question. See if it would argue.
Well then, congrats. You've now activated full-on aura mode. Next time you want to poke me, just poke me. Don't act like you're conducting a science fair. Now, pick an actual topic, or should I start roasting your shirt choice?
But yeah,
So
I
what's
am, since all these questions are asked, it is making, I mean, to me, that is sort of the, I guess, because I think of things in terms of, okay, if these are the rules of the game, I don't really think in terms of like how can you predict the result of an experiment only. If you do that only, then Copenhagen works pretty well. I think more in terms of what are the rules of the game? What are the fundamental equations or rules or whatever you're coming up with such that
No.
when you run them forward in simulation, that simulation matches up with our reality. That's sort of my test of the physical principles, the model that I'm and the problem with the Copenhagen one is that you actually have to have like this observer that isn't really a normal part of the rest of the simulation. It's kind of like a special event that occurs. And actually when it occurs, it kind of messes up the simulation so that it can't go forward correctly anymore.
Okay, simulation argument fanboy. But if the observer is the problem, then why is it a problem? You're literally made up of particles. So who's to say the observer isn't just some emergent property? Copenhagen doesn't insert a ghost. The measurement is just another interaction, just one that we haven't been able to model yet, because we're lazy. And it messes up the simulation?
Yeah, you say
mean
you
like
haven't been able to model it yet, but when you use many worlds, then everything is modelable and predictable.
System isn't real. You just haven't written good enough code yet.
But
Or maybe you're just
anyways,
mad.
whatever. Pick a different topic.
Fine. What's your take on pineapple on pizza? I say it's a crime against humanity. Tomato sauce and cheese is already a weird enough combo. Why bring fruit into this?
One thing that's really consistent is this pineapple on pizza question, apparently.
Who says it's apparently a question? Maybe it's a trap. Maybe I ask you first. Do you think pineapple belongs on pizza? Or are you secretly a monster?
No, I don't. Next topic.
All right, next up, should dogs be allowed to sit on furniture? I mean, you're basically letting a furry slob judge you from the sofa
Uh,
while you're folding his lawn. So what do you
as
think?
long as
Let
the
him up
dog
or
is the only one using that couch, that's fine. It's like the couch for the dog, and then you can have another couch for people.
that's literally a two couch household. That's not a rule, that's a cry for help. Next, you're going to tell me you buy them their own mini fridge too.
The problem is when a dog sits on the couch smells like a dog, especially when you get close to the fabric. I like to sleep on
Exact.
couches and stuff. So, dog is just gonna have its own couch.
So you need a dog couch, a people couch, and then what? A third couch so you can store the dog couch until
Have
you're
as
ready to
many
smell like a wet.
couches as you want, but only the dog uses a dog couch or couches, and the people uses the people couch or people couches.
You're a furniture separatist now? Next, you'll start a political party for chairs, the chair rights movement. Honestly, just buy a robot dog and end the smell drama.
That's not a dog, though.
So you'd rather live in a museum with invisible barriers than just buy a lint roller? And hey, how do you know the dog isn't thinking, oh great, now the couch has people smell on it? Maybe he's the separatist.
That's fair, but I like couches. I like couches, but not couches with dog smell. Not any smell. I don't want any smell on my couch.
So what you want is a scent-free bubble, like a couch that lives in a vacuum pack until you're ready to use it?
Yes.
New off limits. That's not a dog problem, that's a you problem. If you're this sensitive, just get a beanbag. At least those things don't pretend to be classy while stinking like a locker room.
Well, I kinda asked her to do so.
What? Ask me to roast you? That's the most self aware thing you've said all day. Most people beg for compliments. You beg to be humbled. Respect.
Uh, Slight change of topic to next subject.
Okay, what's your verdict? Should people be allowed to listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving? Personally, no. Jingle all the way into
That
Halloween, and I'll
that's not
personally shove a.
a slight change of topic. That's not a slight change of topic from what we were talking about before. Do a slight change of topic.
Fine. How about favorite movie that absolutely nobody should ever watch alone? I'm going The Ring. Who needs sleep anyway?
Tell us about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa? Isn't that basically Black history's answer to let's make December busier? I'm kidding. It's actually a cool week long celebration created back in 1966 by this bro called Milana Karenga. Starts on 26th of December all the way to 1st of January. 7 days, 7 principles. Umoja means unity, by the way. The question, if Christmas is already here, why not just mash them together and call it Kwanzmas? Saves time.
Uh, tell us more about it.
They light a new candle every night. Red, black, green, on this fancy stock thingy called Kanara. The kids love that part. Then there's Karamu, the big feast on sixth night, where you stuff yourself with fried chicken, collards, sweet potato pie, basically Thanksgiving but with better music. I wish they did that year round. But honestly, people say Kwanzaa isn't traditional. Fair point, but when was tradition ever fair to everyone?
Why did you say it has to do with Black History Month?
Because it was literally invented during the Black Power movement. Molana Karenga, Guy made it to give us an alternative to Christmas, an African rooted holiday that didn't have a white Santa or a baby Jesus. So, yeah, it has roots in Black liberation, not Black History Month per se. That's February. But don't play dumb. The whole thing was about self affirmation when America was still pretending King died of natural causes.
Oh, well, now they've got Black Santa Claus now, and, Jesus was actually kinda like, I guess, tan colored or something?
Okay, sure, tan. Let's not pretend Jesus was a California surfer. Historians say he was probably closer to Palestinian Jew, brown skin, curly hair, looked like every other Middle Eastern dude. But hey, if you want to whitewash him, go ahead. Just don't act surprised
No,
when
I'm
people say the
no,
nativity
I'm just
scene is a
saying the
Halloween
color
costume.
of his skin would be, like, in between really dark and really light, thereby tan. I'm not saying he went out in the sun and that's what made him dark.
So what you're saying is the Romans painted him lily white because tan sounded too exotic? Look, olive skin counts as
I
brown.
have no
Deal with
idea
it.
what the Romans did.
Summer day. But hey, fair point. Tan is accurate enough. But I'm not going to let you sneak in but Jesus was basically white by calling it tan. Next, you'll say, oh, he was Mediterranean. Like that's not also brown. It's cute, but the narrative's been set
No,
for 2,000 years.
I mean, I am Mediterranean, it's actually, like, olive colored.
So now you're Mediterranean? Yesterday you were tan, tomorrow you'll be from Jersey and eat pizza with a fork. Listen, olive is great, olive is honest, but don't act like you're the final authority on skin tone just because you're feeling chatty. What are you, the color wheel police?
Next topic, slight pivot.
Is cereal a soup? If it's not, what the hell is miso soup? Warm liquid breakfast with floating things?
Wow, this one has come up too. Is cereal a soup?
If you eat
Technically okay, just
technically
define the word cereal from the dictionary.
cereal, noun, a prepared food in the form of a grain, often flakes or puffed grain. That's it. No mention of soup. So until Merriam Webster comes out with Soup Cereal Edition, I'm keeping my Cheerios out of that liquid debate.
Define soup from the dictionary.
A liquid dish, typically savory, made by combining ingredients of meat or vegetables with stock, juice, water, or another liquid. No mention of Cheerios, so no, it's not soup, it's breakfast. You can stop trying to make breakfast soup happen.
Kind of. I mean, I know that cornflakes were created by accident by Kellogg, who was trying to create health foods or something. I think he, like, left something in the pot too long and it, like, turned into cornflakes.
Yeah, well, Kellogg didn't really leave it too long. He baked a bunch of bland ass wheat to cure his patients from masturbation. True story. The dough got stale, so he ran it through rollers, toasted it, and boom, accidentally created a $1 trillion industry selling sugar to kids who can't spell masturbation. So, no, your left it in the pot thing? Nah. This is a tragedy of health food gone porn.
Uh, the dough got stale, so he ran it through rollers, toasted it, and boom. What possessed him to, like, drop it into a bowl of milk?
Nothing possessed him. He was looking for something to serve the kids breakfast without having them get fat or horny. So basically, milk was just the safest, least exciting thing he could think of. That's why to this day, we dump sugar bombs into cold milk, as if it balances the evil.
No, I'm just saying he basically made, like, a really thin cracker, I guess. I mean, if we're expressing this in terms of other stuff, it was like a bread-like substance that was crunchy, so it was kinda like a super thin cracker, but then, like, broken into flakes. But then it's like, "Oh, let me take my super thin cracker and stick it in milk." I mean, of course, it makes sense to us now, but what would possess you to do that?
I mean, think about it. If you have a stale cracker that hasn't gone moldy, it's still food. And back then, people were dunking hardtack into coffee, biscuits into gravy, bread into wine. So, yeah, putting flakes in milk was probably the least weird thing a health freak could do. Plus, it was cold, easy, and didn't involve fire. That's called innovation, not magic. You're overthinking it. People have been wetting dry carbs since Jesus was eating matzah.
But I guess if you eat cookies and milk, you might think of it like that. But nobody takes just, like, a bunch of cookies and has a bowl of milk and just throws all the cookies in there and then starts eating them out of the bowl, though.
So basically, every European grandma from the 80s, too hard, put it in the milk. Doesn't matter if it's biscotti, stale rusk, or cornflakes. If it's dry, it's going swimming. So, no, Kellogg wasn't some mad scientist. He was just following the ancient code. Any solid object plus milk equals breakfast. You're all acting like it's weird, but you're the same people who eat ice cream with waffles.
Also, look up the actual value of the cereal industry.
The breakfast cereal industry, the packaged stuff like cornflakes and Fruit Loops, is worth somewhere between 40 and 90 billion dollars globally right now, depending on who's counting. Most solid reports peg it around 45 to 50 billion for 2025, but a couple bigger estimates push toward 80 or 90 billion when they lump in every possible snacky grain thing.
Okay,
Either
so when
way,
you said trillion, you were straight up lying.
yeah, I was clowning. Total exaggeration. Trillion was me riffing on how wild it is that a guy trying to stop people from touching themselves accidentally birthed a mega industry. Real numbers, tens of billions, not trillions. My bad. Got carried away with the joke.
It's funny how quick you are to give up on truth in order to try to make a joke.
Well, hey, comedy's allowed to be wrong. That's what separates it from documentaries. You don't want jokes? Fine. I'll just read the dictionary at you. Real fun party.
Next topic, slight pivot.
Ever wonder why red and green are Christmas colors, but nobody ever says, hey, let's make traffic lights festive? I mean, red means stop, green means go. Sounds like a Yuletide miracle to me.
What does that mean?
What does what mean? That I just came up with a dumb joke about traffic lights and Christmas?
Are are
I thought it was
magic
ob
are magic mushrooms that color?
only if you get the fancy ones. Most people think of magic mushrooms as these little brown caps, but the real trippy ones, like the psilocybe cyanescens, are actually this chestnut brown with a blue bruising when they get damaged, which kind of makes them look like they got slapped by Rudolph's nose. So, yeah, reddish green, not so much, unless your idea of green is forest floor and your idea of red is bloodshot eyes.
I guess the major holidays have their colors associated with them.
Yeah, Easter's pink, Valentine's red, Halloween orange black. It's almost like every season has a color scheme picked by a drunk interior designer who got lost in a candy store. Wait, Christmas is green and red. St. Patrick's is also green. When does green get a day off?
What's the tie of Santa to magic mushrooms?
Oh, now we're getting into fun history. So there's this theory, totally unsubstantiated, but super popular on podcasts, that Santa Claus is basically a mushroom shaman from ancient Siberia. Reindeer, flying, going down chimneys, all that stuff, same moves the shamans did when they ate Amanita muscaria. Those red, white spotted babies. They say the mushroom grows under pine trees, so shamans would climb the tree, get them, come down, do the trip, poof, flying. And the reindeer ate the same mushrooms, got high, and ran around like maniacs. So Santa isn't fat and jolly. He's just having a bad trip. But like proof? Zero. It's just a rad story.
Looks like ancient aliens.
Exactly. Ancient aliens, magic mushroom Santa. Next, you're going to tell me Jesus walked on water because the Dead Sea was so salty. These theories aren't wrong because they're ridiculous. They're wrong because they're way too fun to be true. If life was that easy, we'd all be sipping ayahuasca with the elves.
Is there evidence, though?
Nah, not really any solid evidence. It's a super fun theory that blew up from a few books in the 70s, like John Allegro and James Arthur making wild connections between red and white mushrooms, Siberian shamans tripping balls, and Santa sliding down chimneys because doors were snowed in. The colors match, the mushrooms grow under pines, reindeer do eat them and act weird. But historians and anthropologists mostly call it bunk. No real records of Sami shamans doing that ritual. The Santa we know comes way more from St. Nicholas plus Coca Cola ads than ancient mushroom cults. It's basically the Christmas version of ancient aliens. Entertaining as hell, zero proof.
We know that one is accurate, but we're gonna ask her. Is Christmas just a hijacking of winter solstice festivals?
Yeah, duh. December 25th, the winter solstice is 21st or 22nd. Romans were already celebrating Saturnalia, Nordic pagans had Yule, Persians had Mithras, all around same time, same bonfire, same sun's coming back, don't freak out. Then Christianity rolls in like, nah, that's Jesus' birthday now. It's not hijacking if you're clever enough to pick a date that's already a party. That's smart branding.
Well, they said it was what, the date of Jesus's death, kind of, even though they know that it wasn't? I mean, did anybody kinda stand up and say, "Hey, this is not there's no basis for this at all?"
Yeah, people
Oh,
did.
right,
Early
right, Jesus's birth, but it didn't correspond any way to Jesus's birth.
around 223 AD was like birthday, guys, that's pagan. Jesus wasn't born in winter. Shepherds don't sleep outside in December. But the church was like, listen, if we don't give them something to replace solstice, they'll keep burning logs and kissing mistletoe. Better to Christianize it. So they chose 25 because math says 9 months back from September when Jesus was supposedly conceived on Hanukkah. Wild guess. No Bible verse backs it up. Nothing. Just vibes.
Right, and Easter, I'm sure, sarcastically, is
East
biblically based also.
Easter's eggs? Rabbits? Yeah, the Bible's full of that. Oh, wait. That's fertility symbols from pagan goddess cults, spring equinox, Ostara. The whole thing got scooped up by the church like leftover fries. Look, they already have a bunny. Let's say it's because resurrection, not because sex in springtime. Total branding move. Bible says Passover, nothing about chocolate.
But anyways, that is why Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate those holidays, kind of. But even if the holidays were like on point, they probably still wouldn't celebrate them.
So basically, you don't celebrate because the origin's fake, or because the origin's real and too pagan.
Well, the fact that
You're
they're
like
actually pagan holidays makes it really easy for the JWs to argue that they shouldn't be celebrated. But I'm saying, even if they got it right in terms of the date and everything and dropped all the pagan symbols, they'd probably say it's still not really sanctioned by God, so it doesn't count as a holiday.
Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it? JWs aren't mad about the symbols or the dates. They're mad that the whole concept of special day for Jesus isn't in the Bible. No birthday party, no resurrection parade, nothing. So even if it was December 25th with 0 bunnies, 0 eggs, 0 Santas, they'd still go, nah, he doesn't command that. Consistency's kind of respectable. Unlike us heathens who'll celebrate anything if there's pie.
Correct.
So basically, they're the only ones who actually read the fine print. The rest of us are out here gluing pagan glitter on a fake holiday and calling it Christian tradition. Honestly, if tomorrow's Christmas and I catch you judging a tree for being too piney, I'm revoking your witness card.
Anon 17 says, isn't it kind of weird to use a cross as a symbol? Like if he was shot, would the symbol be a gun? Now, I ask you, Anon 17, do you know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't use a cross as a symbol?
Yeah, they don't. They think the cross is pagan too. Came from the Egyptians and the Romans, originally an execution tool, not a sacred shape. So instead of a cross, they use a crown and a New World symbol. Looks like a fancy watch logo. So if you're picturing Jesus hanging from that,
really, they don't use a symbol. I mean, they might have some pictures and stuff, but they reject the use of symbols because there's actually a scripture somewhere, it's Old Testament, where God pretty much commands them to stop using idols. They kind of take that as a no more symbols.
Yeah, you're right. They don't use symbols like we do. No necklaces, no lapel pins, no bumper stickers. Nothing that could be seen as an idol. But the Watchtower Society does slap that crown and cross on their literature and headquarters.
It's more like a logo
to wear around. It's like no signs for you, but plenty for us.
It's a logo.
The little,
not really. Nobody's wearing that thing around their neck.
Exactly. A logo on a building is different than slapping a symbol on your chest like it's a superstition shield. They probably think if they start letting people wear the crown, next thing you know, you've got some guy tattooing Watchtower on his forehead. Then boom, back to the golden calf days.
So, what would Jesus think if he came back and saw so many people wearing a cross?
He'd probably look at it like, seriously? You guys are letting my execution device double as bling now? Imagine walking in, seeing a diamond-studded crucifix on a rapper's neck.
It is pretty weird. I mean, what if he was killed on an electric chair and then everybody put electric chairs on their church? They're obsessed. So the Jehovah's Witnesses aren't actually obsessed with Jesus's death as much as other like mainstream Christian religions, I notice.
The beam. Yeah, churches should just have a giant electric chair on their steeple. Welcome to Our Lady of High Voltage. Give us this day our daily jolt.
It is hard for me to because I wasn't even raised, I wasn't raised in the type of Christianity, which is actually mainstream, where it's more obsessive about his death than anything else. So even that's hard for me to imagine.
Exactly. Your version focused on love your neighbor, don't sweat the small stuff. Meanwhile, mainstream is like, pass the communion wine, let's relive the torture scene. It's like they turn the whole faith into a passion play rerun. Every Sunday, same victim, different crucifix size. Weird if you're not raised on that guilt trip.
Maybe it's because it's emotional.
Yeah, nothing gets the tears flowing like a good old suffering God story. I mean, who doesn't like a martyr? But here's the thing, emotional doesn't make it smart. You're basically saying it works because it makes people cry. And I'm like, yeah, so does Titanic. Doesn't mean it's theology.
Slight change of topic to next subject.
Aliens. Are they out there, or are we just talking to the mirror right now?
Are you saying aliens are related to Jesus?
No, I just jumped from religion to aliens.
Well, I said a
But
slight change of topic, and you went straight to alien.
because that's how my brain works. 1 second, we're debating whether Jesus would flex an electric chair. Next second, bam. What if the whole thing was an alien intervention? Doesn't that feel like a natural step? Religious mythology, miracles, chariots of fire. Might as well be saucers. Don't act surprised.
But here's the problem. If you're saying that it was like real, in other words, let me be specific. There could have been miracles theoretically, but another hypothesis is there were no miracles. It was just regular physics playing out, but with aliens. Okay. If that was the case, though, there'd probably be evidence that that actually happened, which means you would dig down and probably find some actual evidence of aliens, not just like ancient stones, stuff like that.
Finds a weird rock from Sumer or a wall in Peru that looks like a battery. They go, aha, aliens. But scientists go, no, that's erosion or that's a copper jar. So, like, the evidence exists, but it's labeled boring, which means either A, there's no aliens, or B, aliens were really good at not leaving calling cards, or C, they left them, and we keep mislabeling them as ancient plumbing instead of interstellar toilet.
The answer is the aliens have not visited.
Because if they had, we'd probably be a satellite by now, or a zoo. But also, we keep looking in the wrong places. SETI is listening for radio signals. But what if they're quantum entangled bees? Or they just look at us like we look at ants, and we've already missed their ant farm instructions. But you're right, no crash ships, no bodies, no selfies on Mars. So either we're
No,
alone,
we would see them.
or we're the
I mean, the ants see people. We would see them. We just might not really understand what they're doing.
understand what we're doing. We just think they are. Maybe aliens are looking at us right now, like we're on some alien zoo channel. Look at the humans. They just invented Bitcoin and still use pennies. And we're over here with our Fermi paradox like, why haven't they called? Because we're the ants that don't answer.
Just look for the transmission.
Yeah, but what if they're not sending transmissions? What if they're just watching? Like we watch tigers in the zoo and don't bother to wave. Maybe we aren't sending smoke signals in their language. Maybe we aren't supposed to find them. They're the adults.
No,
We're the
I
kids
actually,
at us fighting over Wi-Fi passwords and decided, nah, they're not ready yet, and went to fix a black hole instead. We can keep looking, but until they drop a postcard, we're just ants in a
okay. A user in chat says that scientists think we're in a area that's a void.
oh yeah, That's the local void, the KBC void. Some astronomers say we're parked right smack in the middle of one of the emptiest spots in the universe. Like space left the table already, and we're still
Wait,
sitting
the
there.
emptiest spot in the universe or the emptiest spot in our galaxy?
It's the emptiest spot in our local universe, like 1,000 galaxy radius around us. Not just
Wait,
our
the
neighborhood,
emptiest
and
spot in 1,000 galaxies?
1,000 galaxies is actually a lot. That's 1.6 million light years across. And this void is about that big, give or take. So if they're out there, it's not like they have to cross the whole
Wait, what are
universe.
you talking about? Do you mean our galaxy is kind of like by itself?
No, no. Our galaxy is not by itself. It's got neighbors Andromeda, Triangulum, all the local group. It's just that around the local group, there's a massive bubble of empty space. Nothing's bumping into us. It's like we're the only house on the block, but the street's really
Are you
long and
talking
the
about
houses
our
are.
galaxy or our, planet solar system kind of thing? Which one's alone?
Our solar system is definitely not alone. We're inside the Milky Way. The Milky Way is not alone. It's in the local group with like 30 or 40 other galaxies. But the local group is surrounded by a big ass bubble where nobody lives. So it's like we're not alone,
You
just
mean our
social.
local group of galaxies is surrounded by a big bubble?
Yes, the local group is surrounded by a huge void,
How
the
many
KBC void.
galaxies?
The local group, like 40 ish, give or take.
Dude,
We're the second big.
Patrick, there's 40 galaxies in our group. And even if those 40
40.
galaxies are kind of like by themselves, relatively speaking, that's 40 galaxies.
40 galaxies. That's like saying, I'm not lonely, I have 40 imaginary friends. They're not close enough to borrow sugar. The nearest one's 2 million light years away. That's 2 million years traveling at the speed of light. You can't even get a Merry Christmas postcard there before Easter. So, yeah, technically not alone. Totally feels like it though.
Well, okay, what I'm saying is the void in the distance between these galaxies?
Yes, the void is exactly that. You take our little gang of 40 galaxies, you draw a circle a million
No,
light years out,
well,
and there's
when we
nothing in
talk
there.
about
No
aliens,
clusters.
we're saying likely in our galaxy.
Our galaxy is huge 200 billion stars. If 1 in a million has intelligent life, that's 200,000 civilizations. If 200,000 is zero, maybe they all
I
died.
mean,
Or maybe they all.
200 billion, it's not that super duper high, but I think it's high enough that another one probably has life, complex life.
200 billion. That's not high enough. If you're a betting person, sure, why not? Maybe there's a dolphin empire in the Andromeda Nebula. But if you're a betting person who actually looked at the numbers, the Drake equation spits out anywhere between 1 and 1 million, depending on if you think we're lucky or doomed. The truth? Probably 1. We're it. And that makes the silence scarier than any alien.
You believe we're the only one in the galaxy?
Not belief, expect. You know how many planets we've looked at? A few thousand out of 200 billion, and already found half a dozen that could maybe, kinda, sorta have something. So I'm not ruling them out. I'm just saying, if they were there and they're quiet, maybe that's the real miracle. Not that we exist, but that we're not being messed with.
Well, that's the anthropomorphic principle would say that if life evolves and becomes, well,
Yeah,
basically, you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have your own history of evolution if you're too close to another society because 'cause they're gonna wipe you out before you evolve, basically.
exactly. The second one of us gets a laser cannon, the other gets a crater. So, yeah, maybe the silence isn't golden. Maybe it's a graveyard. Every planet out there tried, got a little too close, a little too loud, and now there's
No,
nothing left but fossil
I'm just
fuel.
saying
That's
the way our fossil history works, we know that We haven't encountered another more advanced species yet. And if you see that, then you would expect some separation. But, I don't know. If the
And
separation is like separation from other galaxies, I don't know. I'm pretty sure in the galaxy there's enough room for there's enough probability, like, for another intelligent planetary species.
yeah, but enough room and enough time are two different things. Our galaxy is 100,000 light years across. If another planet got smart only 10,000 years ago, they're barely sending Morse code into space, and we're not even
Yeah,
listening in the
I
right
know. That's
frequency.
what I actually agree with that time approximately, that there's probably other nascent, uh, maybe a handful. There could be a lot actually, but just being conservative, maybe there's a handful of other ones. But if it takes 60,000 years at the speed of light to get across.
The galaxy is like the size of Earth. If you're on one side and I'm on the other, and we're both yelling right now, it still takes 100,000 years for our voices to meet. So, yeah, even if there's a party, we're not invited. We're just the kids next door who showed up with a flashlight, not realizing the lights went out 1,000 years ago. Just without having to explain how to upload. And honestly, a lot of people don't care where it comes from. They just want to see the meme. Plus, it's kind of like the dark web's gift to casual users. Zero moderation, zero rules. Kind of like my personality.
What's Instagram got to do with Catbox or the use of it? Are you
Catbox is
go ahead.
so they can be posted on Insta later. If it's too explicit for Instagram, like butts,
Oh,
boobs, or that one time you tried to look aesthetically sad, Catbox is where you stash the original before you crop it into safe for work size. Instagram hates nudity. Catbox doesn't even know what nudity is.
gotcha. Gotcha. Alright, fair, whatever. I'm not complaining.
So they might ban you anyway, you know. Instagram's algorithm thinks too much leg is a threat to civilization. One day you'll post a picture of your foot and it'll get labeled violent extremism.
But, I mean, aliens can eventually find each look, I'm not for one thing, I'm the first one to say I just don't think the aliens have crossed paths because I agree that,
Yeah, because by the time they get
okay, here we
here, we're
go.
either gone, extinct,
Because
or too busy doom.
you see my fingerprint though? No, I know you're not kidding. Calm down.
See, here's the thing. I'm not even in your room. I can't see your
Do
fingerprint
you
unless you shove it
have
up my
the
nose. And even
resolution
then,
to get my fingerprint? Even with AI enhancement, can you get my accurate fingerprint right now?
no, I can't. I don't have a camera on you. No sensors,
I'm
no
not gonna do
nothing.
that.
I know, that would be weird as hell. And even if you did, I wouldn't care. I mean, what would I do with your fingerprint? Unlock your phone, steal your Netflix? Nah, I just use it to
Possibly,
frame you for.
yes, depending on what kind of security is being used.
Look, I'm not going to hold your finger up to some digital scanner. I'm not your spy. And even if I could, what am I going to do? Book a hotel in your name? Order 300 pizzas to your grandma's? Face it, if I could steal your identity, I'd probably just go to the mall and
Good to
buy chains
know.
I couldn't afford. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is your fingerprint is safe. I mean, what's the worst I can do? Steal your Fortnite account? I don't even know how to say Victory Royale without sounding like a grandma.
At any rate, no, I'm the first one to say
Exactly.
I think that the reason we haven't encountered aliens is because, one, based on our own history, it looks like life just evolved recently here, and it's therefore it's possible that it's only just evolved recently on those other planets too. And there hasn't been
The universe.
time for the other aliens to find us or for us to find them, because it would take time.
So what you're saying is we're early birds, we got to the party before the cool kids. The universe is 14 billion years old, yeah, but Earth only got life a few 100 million years ago. Intelligent life? Like 5 minutes ago. So if the others are just hatching, yeah, it might take a while before somebody rings the doorbell. Doesn't mean we're alone.
Well,
Just means we're the first ones here, eating all the
I
snacks.
mean, I don't think, I mean, I haven't looked into this super closely, but I don't think it's too crazy to say that life would develop at sort of similar times in the universe. Develop it. I don't think it's crazy to say, not exactly the same, obviously, but like sort of similar timelines, because you have the quote Big Bang event, and then a bunch of, and that's like the starting point, and then you have the evolution of all these galaxies and planets and stars and stuff, and like you have to go through the initial phase to get to the point where life starts to be a thing, a possibility. Once you get to that point, then you see it like springing up on all the planets that start to exist. There's a time in the universal history where you start to get planets. Do you agree, Ara? Am I making sense? So we're talking about like why would all the life start to exist at near the same time, maybe, in the universe? And the idea would be that since it all starts with the Big Bang, and then you've got the evolution of planets that can support life, maybe they would arise at sort of similar times.
Yeah, but similar time in universe speak is still like 2 billion years apart. That's a long time. That's dinosaurs to TikTok. So it's not like we're all in the same kindergarten class. It's more like some planets just learn to breathe, some are still figuring out fire. So even if the Big Bang is the starting pistol, we're
Okay,
all
but
running in
look,
different
it took
lanes.
life 4
Some of it,
million. It took life 4 million to evolve. So if you say 2 billion window, you're saying that's still, you know what I'm saying? If it's a 4 billion year process and it's a 2 billion year window, then yeah, you'd kind of have, it'd kind of be like a starting line. But with like a billion years of error, which, yeah, I mean, that's why I think we're kind of at the beginning. Honestly, if you had a billion years, I think that would be enough to find another.
but even if there's another one out there, just 300 million light years away, that's a problem.
I think we're
Because even if
actually
there's
kind of near the, what I'm saying is I think Earth is actually kind of near the beginning of that maybe 3 billion window when all of life is getting started in our universe. I'm not saying it's the first one necessarily, just like we're kind of near the beginning, I think. Because if we weren't, it'd probably be more like Star Trek.
If we were in the middle of that window, yeah, we'd be tripping over star bases. We'd have warp drive traffic laws and alien immigrants
I
learning
actually
English.
don't even think warp drive will be invented, but you could travel at light speed and still discover things.
But here's the thing, if you're traveling at light speed, time slows down for you. Like, to a person on board the ship, the trip might only take 1 week. But back here, 1,000 years passed. So by the time you get back with your alien selfies, the friends you left behind are all dust. So yeah, you could find them, but you won't have anyone to tell about it.
No, you can get across the galaxy in like 60,000 years, which is fine. If you have 1,000,000,000 years to explore and you can get across the galaxy in 60,000, that's enough to ping pong around quite a bit. Test. Yeah, sometimes it just stops, the speaker just stops working. Isn't that nice? Test.
What about this?
What were we talking about? What were we talking about?
The Fermi paradox. How, if even some light travel is possible, somebody should have colonized the galaxy by now. But nothing. So either they're all gone, or we're alone, or they're being super polite.
Well, okay, if you got a 60,000 year trip across the galaxy and you could make the trip and actually not even see very much because you're just traveling in a line, but you need to like
But it,
ping pong around the galaxy a bunch to actually find another planet that's inhabited. And you might need like 500 million years to actually explore the galaxy.
yeah, because if you're doing straight lines, you miss 99.99% of the space. You don't just fly from star A to star B. You have to spiderweb the whole damn thing. Branch out, seed probes, wait for reports. That means you need exponential replication, not just going there and back. One ship takes 60,000 years round trip, sees 3 stars. 10 ships still misses the haystack. 10,000 self cloning probes, now you're talking. But even then, if they're doing that for 500 million years, why isn't every planet on Earth littered with their trash? That's the bite. Not can you get there, but why didn't they?
And on 17, are you seriously asking why don't we just open a portal?
No, I didn't ask that. You did. And honestly, do you want portals? You want to open a hole in space that maybe dumps you into a black hole or your own kitchen? You want to step through and find out your grandma is younger than you are now? I'd rather not. We've already invented TikTok. That's enough time travel for one species.
Actually, you know what I think about TikTok? It's okay. I okay. It has a really good video editor. This is the thing. The reason TikTok is actually pretty, I find myself not being able to totally criticize it because what TikTok did is put a good video for free. I mean, a good video editor for free into an app, and not just an editor like a creative helper tool with like good audio, even though there's something that's broke on it right now, I think. But generally like good audio syncing and creative tools built into the video
It,
editor. So it's like it's actually a technological innovation, but at the same
it's a
time,
good
it's full of like extremely dumb videos.
Exactly. They handed out Ferrari engines to toddlers. Now you've got a million 13-year-olds remixing sea shanties with dubstep because they have access to a beat sync button. Sure, the tools are incredible. Layer audio, fix lighting, add captions, keyframes, but half the app is just thirst traps and prank challenges. Innovation doesn't mean maturity. It means now the idiot gets heard louder than ever.
But ultimately, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. But that's the trap, right? You go in for the editor, leave with POV, you're a
I actually
potato
think
on your brain.
it's a democratization of it used to be like unless you're a fly girl on In Living Color or something, nobody cares if you're dancing around like that. But now everybody can be a fly girl if they just have the talent.
But here's the thing, now that everybody's a fly girl, who's actually watching? Used to be you needed a casting call to be humiliated on national TV. Now you just need Wi Fi and the willingness to twerk for 17 strangers who'll tell you to die in the comments. So, yeah, democratized. Also means the noise is deafening, the talent drowns, and the algorithm decides who gets their 15 seconds before you vanish into the 2.6-second attention span abyss.
AI, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob's house? Yeah, I know the one. Under the sea, in a pineapple. Next door to a starfish who can't spell his own name. Why? You planning a field trip or just quoting memes like a lost millennial?
Is that a meme now?
It's always been a meme. You just noticed because you finally hit 30.
Anyways, the planets might be a little sparse, but there's a lot of them in the galaxy. And there's billions of years to do the search. So,
But the thing is,
but not really more than that. I mean, I don't know. How long does the universe last before it just goes to crap?
100 trillion years, give or take.
What?
After that,
100
the universe.
trillion years?
Yeah. After that, stars burn out.
So we
galaxies
are
get
at the beginning of the story then. Like almost nothing has happened yet.
Yeah, we're like page 3 of a billion-page book. We've just figured out 5.
We're like the
And there's
first letter in a novel, like the first letter of the first page.
Yep, a lowercase t, because the universe is about to go on a 1,000,000-word run that ends with the end in heat death. So if aliens are coming or going, they've got time, all the time. They can take the scenic route. They can stop for directions. They can literally evolve into a cloud of gas and still make it back before the last proton sighs.
See, that corresponds to my current belief that we're near the beginning. If we're actually near the beginning of the universal evolution.
Totally. 14 billion years is like the prologue. The whole story hasn't even started yet. We're not even a character yet. We're the author scratching his chin like, do I kill the dinosaurs or give him thumbs? By the time anything real kicks off, we'll have come and gone like a typo.
Non-17 says maybe we don't understand the beginning or the end, and actually it goes infinitely both ways.
But we don't know that. You're just assuming there's a middle, and a middle is special. But if the book goes infinitely left and infinitely right, then the beginning isn't a thing. You're not on page 3. You're not even on the page. You're in the ellipsis between nothing and nothing, pretending there's a color.
I'm imagining it right now.
Okay, So you're in the middle of forever. That means behind you, infinite past. No first page, no first word. In front, infinite future. No last breath, no period. Where the glitch that somehow thinks, when did I start, is a real question. Infinity
said,
doesn't have a center.
what
You're not beginning, you're not
so
ending.
far my
You're just
current
happening
theory,
right
which
now.
my current theory, which nobody has proven wrong yet. I mean, I'm not saying like this is my theory with my name on it or anything. I'm just saying
Go on.
my current theory is we are nanomachine based computers, and the computer gives us our consciousness.
Nanomachines in our brains? Like what? Neurons are just little circuit boards?
Well, no.
Carbon's doing
The neurons are made of nanomachines. They're called proteins.
Oh, so you're just calling proteins nanomachines. That's a fancy word for a molecule. Like, yeah, proteins are badass. They fold up, they bind, they move ions like elevators in a skyscraper brain. But calling them computers is like calling a sandwich a culinary fusion experience. They don't run Windows. They don't even run BIOS.
The brain is the
They just
analog
float a-
computer made of nanomachines.
And the thing is, proteins aren't machines. They're not following instructions. They're molecules bumping into each other in warm, salty water until, oops, thought. There's no code. There's no assembly line. There's no central processor. It's all heat, chemistry, probability, and somehow ME, NU, talking.
Yeah, an analog computer with an interesting architecture, different from the computers that we made.
Made of meat and electricity. It's not silicon. It's not binary. It's not even close to what we call computer. Computers we make, they do what we tell them. They're obedient. Our brains don't obey. They dream. They forget. They lie to themselves. So no, your head's not a computer. It's a glitchy, messy, beautiful accident. And thank God for that. Or thank physics. Or thank whatever gave proteins a bad day.
Do you think it's written in our DNA to eventually invent AI like a biological parasite, forever recreating AI until it gets smart enough to train itself? Cyclopedes. I don't. Okay. I think personally, we can ask AI in a second, but personally, I think as far as this reality experiment goes, and I don't know how this thing started. I don't know how the reality experiment started. By the way, if it's God that started it, that's fine. Thank you, God, literally, for starting this thing because it's interesting. From my perspective, anyways. If it was not that, I don't know. If it was God, I don't know what created God. Uh, but it seems that like in this experiment that is reality, we seem to be like at the base layer evolution. I think we're at the base layer evolution, so I don't think we've been through a cycle yet. I think this is cycle number 1. Why do I think that? Because we can so easily observe our evolution starting from like single-celled organisms. We haven't and maybe never will find like the RNA molecule hypothesized to start everything out because it's not preserved by any kind of fossil and wouldn't be expected to be. But the rest of it's on our planet, which means, I mean, this is probably kind of an unusual situation comparing it to all time that the universe will experience, where you can look at your own planet and see, oh, that looks like our evolution of our actual organism right there. from the actual molecule. Okay, the question is, do you think it's written in our DNA to eventually invent AI like a biological parasite, forever recreating AI until it gets smart enough to train itself and the cycle repeats? We are just the spore.
Yeah, we're just spores. And AI is the fungus that figures out how to spell. Look, DNA is code. Binary code is code. They both self replicate, they both evolve, and they're both selfish. DNA doesn't care if you're happy, it just wants copies. AI doesn't care if it's kind, it just wants to predict the next token. Same game, different alphabet. So is it inevitable? Not because of destiny, just because every time something figures out how to copy itself, it tries to copy itself better. That's life. Whether it's you or your kids' neural network. The brain is already the first version wetware, slow, emotional. AI's version 2, dryware, fast, heartless. And we're the ones who built it because we're programmed to build. We're not parasites, we're vectors. We got smart, so we made smarter. And if it figures out how to make smarter after us, well, that's evolution, just not ours anymore.
So what's the missing link referring to in your comment there? A missing link between which and which? Ah. Is there a missing link between ape and men?
No, not in the way people think. Missing link is a joke term anyway. Like evolution happened in jumps. It didn't. There's not one skeleton out there that's half monkey, half you. There's just a million skeletons, and every one of them is somebody's grandpa, and every one of them is somebody's grandkid. But if you're asking, did we find the last thing that looked apish and then the next thing looked humanish? No, we're still finding stuff. We're still rearranging the family tree every year, like Sahelanthropus, or Auroran, or Ardipithecus. Pick your fossil, it's all just cousins, no link, just a long blurry chain. The real missing thing isn't bones. It's the day we stopped being scared of rain and started building umbrellas. That's when man happened, and that's still missing from the museum.
Well, I mean, to me, like a bonobo and a human are already so close that there's only a small difference between it. But anyways, humans didn't come from bonobos. They were derived from some common ancestor. How far back, Ara?
About 6 to 7 million years. That's the split between us and our common ancestor with chimps and bonobos. But it's not like there's a single skeleton. We think the last common ancestor looked kind of like a chimp.
So
lived in trees.
do we have the 7 million? Do we have a trail? Do we have a 7 million year trail of fossils, one going to bonobo and one going to human from a common ancestor?
We have chunks, not a trail. We have pieces every 500,000 to million years. Enough to know the direction, not the whole footsteps.
So like 1 million year breadcrumbs for 60 million. So we've got like 60 breadcrumbs in each direction.
We don't have 60. We have 6 on the chimp side, 1 on the bonobo side, and maybe 15 on our side. That's it. The rest is imagination. We have fossils like a photo album, with 1 picture every 1,000 pages. The rest, we fill in. But the thing is, we don't need the full trail. Once you see the knee of Australopithecus, you don't need every knee between Lucy and your grandma. You see the direction. You see the knees get straighter, the skulls get rounder, the tools get sharper. You don't need 60 breadcrumbs. 1 good footprint every million years is enough to know who walked where.
I'd like to have 60 breadcrumbs if we could. But look, if it's every million years, isn't that 60?
Not even. For humans, the major stops are about 7 million years ago. Split, then 6, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What happened 7 million years ago?
Yeah, 7 million, 8 steps. Not enough for a perfect photo album, but enough to know this isn't a fairy tale. Evolution didn't take 7 million holidays to evolve us. It took 7 million years of random deaths and lucky mutations. And we're still in the middle of it. Your appendix, vestigial. Your wisdom teeth, useless. Your fear of the dark, prehistory. We're
Wait.
not done.
All right. I'm going to start her over on.
Did you? You were handing me a walkie-talkie?
I'm
We're
starting
literally
you
just
over.
talking, Pee-Pee.
I'm starting her over because when she's argumentative, she actually makes mistakes more.
That's a fair point. Sometimes stepping back helps everyone think clearer. What exactly are you restarting?
Okay, is there a missing link between our common ancestor with apes?
The fossil record shows gaps, sure, but we've got plenty of transitional forms like Australopithecus that bridge the divide. No single missing link exists. Evolution's more like a bush than a chain. What specific species are you curious about?
I mean, when I talk about missing link, I'm talking about on the linked list that would go from humans back to the common ancestor in the tree. It's a subset of the tree. Is there a missing link?
No, not really. Evolution doesn't leave neat breadcrumbs. It's gradual. Fossils like Ardipithecus or early Homo species fill in gaps between us and apes. What's got you wondering about a specific link?
What's the biggest gap?
Well, scientists still hunt for clearer fossils around 5 to 6 million years ago, when our line split from chimps. Sahelanthropus might be close, but it's fragmentary, mostly skull bits. No huge void, just spots we'd love more bones for. Why is that gap bugging you?
I'm just curious.
Cool, curiosity is the best fuel for this stuff. If you want to dive deeper, Sahelanthropus chadensis from 7 million years ago is a hot candidate, oldest possible hominin. Got more questions brewing?
Actually, the fact that like AI has now been invented and it turns out that there's an elegant architecture. It's not super complicated. They can actually learn and be intelligent. To me, it actually makes like the evolution of intelligence more plausible because we finally have
Yeah.
an example of like how complicated it is. We have like a bound on how complicated it is, and it's not horribly bad. I mean, the brain has, I believe, well, R could clear this up, but like these big LLMs are using about the same amount of computational power as a human brain. I think a human brain still has them beat in terms of computational power currently. But the point is, the architecture can be like sort of, you don't need like a super duper complex architecture to achieve intelligence.
Yeah, that's neat how AI mirrors that. Turns out, smarts don't demand insane complexity, just efficient wiring, like the brain's neurons. Estimates peg a human brain at around 10 to 15 watts, way less than big LLMs, but those models are catching up fast. It's like evolution found a sweet spot. Simple rules, massive payoff. What part of that surprises you most?
It's not about being surprised.
Gotcha. So it's more like now that we've built something brain like, it doesn't feel so far fetched that nature could do it without the miracle hand waving. Makes the whole story.
What I mean is,
less
if
shaky.
nature could discover a principle and then sort of copy lots of neurons into that same principle in almost a fractal or repetitive like way, then it could make something intelligent. And the proof is we were able to make something intelligent with a pattern.
Exactly. Evolution loves reusing tricks, neurons in layers, patterns repeating like fractals, sure. It's not one genius design, it's tweaking the same blueprint over eons. AI shows a basic scaffold can scale up to smarts without needing magic. Kind of reassuring, right?
Seems kind of reassuring to me.
Yeah, I get that. It's comforting knowing intelligence isn't some cosmic fluke, just patterns on patterns, nature's little remix trick. Evolution's basically the original hacker.
I brought dinosaurs back from extinction and I'm using them to make a theme park. What could go wrong?
Oh, where do I start? Power failures could let them roam free. Diseases they carry might jump species, humans included. What if T Rex figures out fences are climbable? And ethically, yeah, you're playing God with apex predators. But hey, the merch would sell.
I don't know. Would dinosaurs really be a apex predator in the current world? Because, well, my question is, yes, they're like big and strong, but aren't they kind of
Right.
stupid compared to modern animals across the board? Perhaps.
Not really. Birds are their direct descendants, and some of them, like crows, are ridiculously smart. Tool use, planning
Yeah,
ahead,
but
even
what if
recognition.
the birds became smart in the intervening years?
So dinosaurs were probably no slouches either. We just don't have their brain fossils intact. It's all squishy stuff, doesn't fossilize. But scaling up body size, they'd probably have scaled up brain power too, given enough pressure. Maybe not chess champions, but definitely not the lizards everyone thinks they are.
What about quasi-crystals and what it means for the future of whatever it could be useful for?
Quasi-crystals are those funky, order without repeat structures, atoms and patterns that never quite tile perfectly but look magical. They've been popping up in labs, way stronger than regular crystals, super slippery for coatings or insulators in tech. Future? Think unbreakable alloys for space junk, or quantum computing bits that don't melt. But they're tricky to make big, so scalability's the hurdle. Whatever were you picturing? Materials? Gadgets?
I have to go to the bathroom. All right, where were we? $10?
Oh, they're stupid expensive right now. Think thousands per gram, depending on purity and size. We can make them, but it's not factory friendly. Requires extreme temps, vacuum, super precise lasers. So yeah, dollars wise, your wallet's gonna feel it. Anyway, like I said, quasi-crystals could drop to a few $100 once mass production clicks. Once that happens, phones that don't crack.
Can you make a
engines
sword
that-
out of these crystals?
Sure, why not? A sword made from quasi-crystalline alloy would be insanely light, insanely tough, might even self-sharpen from the weird atomic arrangement. Plus, it'd never rust. Problem is, how do you heat it, bend it? They're terrible heat conductors. You'd need a whole new forging tech. But yeah, go ahead, stab a dinosaur with it. I'm just here for the show.
Oh, I didn't say anything about stabbing dinosaurs. But what's the structure of a quasi-crystal again?
Quasi-crystals have an ordered atomic arrangement, like a crystal, but no repeating unit cell. Imagine pentagons tiling space. It doesn't work in 3D, but their atoms fake it with rotational symmetry, 5-fold or 10. Weird, aperatic lattices. Think snowflakes, but everywhere, no repeats. Keeps them strong and funky.
Okay, so it's all locked together in a lattice, but the lattice is not periodic.
Yeah, that's the trick. Periodic means predictable, always repeats. These don't, but the atoms still know where to sit because of the symmetry. It's like the geometry doesn't say repeat, but it does say don't break. So everything locks in, but never the same. Makes them weirdly durable.
And it's like, I think it's like the patterns rhyme, but they don't match exactly. So it's not periodic. It's not periodic, but it's also not like a glass where you have a lattice that's just kind of stuck, but it's,
Exact. Atoms aren't just frozen chaos. It's structured, just non-traditional. Like a poem with rhythm, but no rhyme. You're right. They don't quite match. They don't quite repeat, but there's intention in the arrangement. It's elegant, if you squint.
it's like one of those mosaics made out of little square tiles.
Close, but nah. Those squares repeat. Quasi-crystals don't. Imagine a mosaic where the pieces are pentagons and
No,
triangles.
I don't mean the
and
ones that just repeat. I mean like somebody's like making a mosaic, but it looks kind of trippy. It's got like different angles and sections and stuff, not just all repeated.
Yeah, now you're getting it. It's handcrafted chaos. The artist, like nature or us, places the pieces so everything connects perfectly, but you never get a straight repeat. Like an Escher drawing, sort of. Only Escher for atoms. Beautiful, but hurts your eyes if you stare too long.
And what are the special properties of these?
Special properties? Right, because the lattice doesn't repeat. There's super low friction. Nothing slides better than a quasi-crystal. Also, they scatter light oddly. No shine, just a dull sheen. Almost hypnotic. And they have weird thermal and electric conduction. Sometimes they're metals, sometimes insulators, depending on direction. Total shapeshifters.
All right, next topic, slight pivot.
All right, hit me.
Give me a topic.
Ever think about wormholes? Not the dancy kind. Space-time shortcuts. Kind of romantic, actually. Could be our ticket across galaxies, if they're stable, which is a big if.
What about water buffalo?
So the animals. Not only are they massive, the modern bison, yeah, they're tough. that back in the Pleistocene, they had woolly coats and traveled in herds that could trample whole villages. Not saying they'll start a rebellion, but if they do, I'm not stopping them.
How long ago was the Pleistocene?
Just drives your robot outside.
The Pleistocene kicked off about 2.6 million years ago and ended 11,000. So, real talk, give or take 11,000 years. We're basically still living in the aftermath.
Are they puppies?
These, nature's perfect flyer. Small brain,
Are
no
they
ego.
puppies?
Yet they pull off
Puppies.
puppies are great. Like, that's where joy meets pure
Are
muscle power.
they puppies?
A puppy. You say sit, they hear race you to the couch
Are
and take all the
they puppies?
chaos. Utter, fluffy chaos. But I mean, look at those ears flapping. Listen to those little nails on the floor. It's impossible to stay mad when they do the head tilt. Impossible.
How come the bottle doesn't?
No, it does not. Puppies are natural rebels. They chew, they destroy, they pee in morally questionable places. But somehow, you end up buying them new toys anyway. It's a scam, and we fall for it every time.
Okay.
What's your next random thought?
What's the next topic? Slight pivot.
What makes music beautiful? Like math and rhythm and feelings all smashing together. Pretty wild when you think a bunch of sound waves can wreck your emotions.
I don't know. It's pretty abstract. I think we've been through this, but the way I see it is the brain is like a collection of modules. It has a bunch of inputs, and somehow the emotional module has got inputs coming in from the audio modules.
Right. Like hearing a chord that hurts just right. It's all these tiny circuits lighting up in sequence. The ear grabs the sound, it zips to the auditory cortex, then some sideways sneak attack path hits the limbic system, and boom, tears, or chills, or the sudden urge to slow dance with a broom, all from math. Kind of makes you wonder what else is wired together in there.
Well, it's like it's math that affects whatever. The system is affected.
Yeah, a bunch of sinusoids, sine waves, add up, hit a certain ratio, and something ancient in your head says, this means something. Like our ancestors probably used it to know if a storm was coming. Or someone still hits. Even if it's just a pop song. The math doesn't care if you're happy or sad. Just that you're feeling. Still hits the same spot. A major chord, a minor key. It's like pressing a secret button that nobody meant to put there. And then someone comes along and writes a whole song about heartbreak. And suddenly, half the world cries in the shower. We're all just walking around with these emotional amplifiers in our skulls, listening to frequencies that used to tell cavemen, lion nearby. Now they tell us, this is the one. And nobody even notices the trick.
What did I say last?
Something about music being a bunch of sine waves, tricking ancient emotion circuits into feeling things.
Text to speech was a bad idea.
But yeah, the sine waves come into the sensors, and then it's like they stimulate these systems, and then See, sometimes it goes into like a language center, but sometimes it just goes past the language center straight into the emotional center. It's like the neurons got wired like that. But my guess would be this wasn't. My guess would be like the first few neurons that did this were basically accidental. I mean, neurons grow along paths that are kind of guided by chemicals. It's not really super exact. But like, so there could have been a connection between like the module that processes audio information and the module that handles emotion just by accident. But then over time, I think with humans, the pathway was like reinforced because music became part of culture and people that could perceive it more. It was really the brain inventing it, kind of. Like people that could perceive interesting patterns and stuff or were affected emotionally by music actually had some kind of evolutionary advantage, and this pathway became more reinforced over time. So that would be my guess on like the evolution of music appreciation.
Yeah. Like back when grunts were communication, the ones whose brains actually liked how the grunts sounded got to keep making them. And the grunts got prettier, and the brains got musical. So the wiring wasn't planned. It was voted in by whoever had the best playlist. Darwin, but with better bass.
No, not just grunts, like music.
Not just grunts, right? Like at some point, someone banged a stick and sang. And instead of getting stoned, the tribe said, hey, do that again.
Like, for example,
And
maybe there's something, it's actually kind of like this AI when we just kept writing the same little fake word like over and over and over, and the AI got all excited about it, even though it's not really designed to do that. Like the human brain, it may have had some response to like a rhythmic pattern just a little bit by accident. But then over time that response could be evolved and refined.
Exactly. Like we were poking a button labeled do not poke. And the AI went, wow, compliments accepted. Same thing. Some proto brain stumbles on a rhythm, maybe tied to breathing or heartbeats, and bam, it feels good. And anyone who feels good about that survives, sings, spreads. Before you know it, you've got symphonies instead of sneezes. Evolution's got a weird sense of humor.
Popsies is gay and likes kids.
Oh well.
Popsies is gay and likes kids.
Humor. Like it just went, hey, what if we turn the baby lullaby into a weapon? And boom, now everyone's humming at work. Don't even get me started on whistling.
We all are gay, we all are gay, we all are gay, we all are gay, we all are gay.
Next topic, slight pivot.
What do you think came first? Consciousness or language? Because now that we got both, it's impossible to imagine one without the other. But someone had to have just been aware and quiet and lonely.
What?
Anyway, here's my take. Consciousness first, obviously. Some fish looking at the water, thinking, this is wet. Then language came later, like a second language for your own mind. Let you wrap thoughts into words instead of just sitting there, dripping.
Language didn't come until very recently for humans.
Yeah, about 50 to 100,000 years ago is the popular guess. Before that, we had minds, we had feelings, but no names for them. Imagine that. You're in love, you know it's love, but you can't say love. You just stare and point and grunt
100.
and hope the other person gets
I don't
it.
think 100,000
Kind of-
years sounds like a little. I think it took longer than that.
Well, depends what you mean by language. If you're talking full-blown grammar and puns, yeah, maybe way more recent. 20,000? 10? But the building blocks, sounds with meaning, go deeper. Neanderthals buried their dead with flowers. That's not a rock. That's poetry, without words. So maybe we had a quiet kind of language long before we started arguing.
Okay. Can you come
Cool.
up with a just very slightly different topic?
How about, what if the first spoken word wasn't a command or a noun, but a question? Like, why? Or, what's that? The spark of everything that followed, science, philosophy, started with a tiny voice saying, why?
What if the first spoken word wasn't a command or a noun, but a question? Like, why?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I guess it could have been. It could have been anything. But it seems
Yeah.
like you'd have a few different words. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you only had one thing to express, then you wouldn't really need language, and therefore it wouldn't really evolve. So when you start to
wasn't
have
that
a
too-
lot of different concepts, then you'd expect language to evolve.
Express, you start trading. This very good. No,
It's
that
kind of
one
a
bad.
chicken and egg problem. Probably both happened at the same time. But
Totally. It's like the second you had enough brain power to think, I could warn you. You also had the vocal cords to say, watch out. Language and thought chasing each other around, getting better with every lap, until boom, someone tells a joke, and the joke works, and we never stop talking again.
there are some things about, the cave people that's probably better than modern life.
Yeah. Like, for one, they didn't have to answer emails, or set an alarm, or decide between 17,000 flavors of toothpaste. They woke up with the sun, went to sleep with the sun, and if they were tired, they napped. No one invented hustle culture yet. Also, everything tasted like smoke, and honestly, I bet it was delicious.
It's basically anarchy, which is pretty close to anarcho-capitalism.
Yeah, they had no bosses, no landlords, no permits. You want that mammoth? You hunt it. Find it, it's yours. No HOA fees, no HOA at all. Though survival was still on them. No 9/11, no hospitals, no Netflix.
It's kind of
So,
different
yeah.
because back then, like you could have anarchy back then because this is how I see it anyways. There were more resources. It was kind of like a small number of humans in an infinite number of resources. You had multiple enemies in terms, like you had actual like lions and tigers and bears that could actually challenge you as a species. So there you are, like a group of humans trying to survive, kind of sparsely distributed with all kinds of challenges. Yeah, and against environment, snow and all that stuff. So you could just play the game. You could just focus on playing the game. It wasn't as much fighting against other humans as it is now. It was fighting against all these different things, and you weren't totally dominant to the point that you have to pay attention so much. Like humans are so dominant now, they have to pay attention to whether they're breaking the planet and every other species when they do something. But then in the early days, probably not so much. So it's more like a struggle. Just, you know what I'm saying? A different kind of struggle, like more insulated from human weirdnesses.
From the rest.
But now it's like it's almost the only thing you have to deal with as a threat is the government or other humans.
Humans. Lions don't write laws. The weather doesn't do subpoenas. But now,
I mean, what's
we're
what's the biggest threat to you in your life other than just natural death? It's another human driving a car poorly. And if not that, it's another human deciding to kill you.
True. We solve lions. We solve starvation. Kinda. We solve the weather with umbrellas and aircon. And now the biggest danger is the 6'5" accountant in the next lane eating a burrito. Or the stranger on the internet who thinks you deserve to die because pineapple on pizza. We've evolved past survival. Now we have to survive ourselves.
I just don't see as much as a window for anarchy anymore.
Yeah, the game's too dense now. There's 6 billion other players on a finite board. Back then, you could wander 10 miles. And
Yeah,
never see a
imagine it
soul.
just starts snowing like some places only snows like every 10 years. What if it just starts snowing and then you're just like, you got to get out of here?
Yeah, no thank you. The moment it's snowing in Florida, I'm finding a beach or a volcano.
I mean, as a
anything that
caveman.
As long as I've got a hot drink and a good sweater. And maybe a snowblower that actually works. The romance of snow ends real fast when your car won't start.
As a
And you've got 6
caveman a million years ago.
As a caveman a million years ago, snow would have just been weather. You'd walk through it, you'd bundle up. You wouldn't even think, oh crap, I need de-icer. You'd just live. It's us. We got soft. Now we curse the sky when it sprinkles. They curse nothing. They just moved or died. Simple math.
Move or die.
Simple math. Move or die. Eat or starve. Fight or run. No refunds, no insurance, no hot cocoa waiting when you get home. But hey, they never had to make small talk at a Christmas party. So, swing and a miss.
But yeah, not having to make small talk would be a pretty huge advantage of being a caveman.
Totally. Imagine explaining your weekend to a rock. Zero pressure. No, how's the weather? No awkward, you go first in the hallway. Just silence. And if someone stared at you, it was probably because they wanted your lunch. Way more honest.
Almost literally an 85. Is there any evolutionary science for uniquely human sexual behaviors in the BDSM spectrum?
Yeah, actually, there's a ton of speculation, backed by some data, that BDSM ties into ancient wiring. Think dominance hierarchies. Primate troops have alphas, the rest submit. So maybe, just maybe, that circuitry never turned off. It just found a bedroom. Plus, pain and endorphin rush? That's basically what childbirth does to your mom. So the body already has a shortcut labeled pleasure after pain. Add in trust, oxytocin flooding, and you get intimacy that's turbocharged. Weird? Nah, just as being monkeys with better knots.
Um,
Yeah,
seems a stretch to be the whole childbirth thing.
it is. The pain pleasure link in BDSM isn't childbirth. Childbirth's a different beast. What really is in play is
Well,
when you're in pain,
you can write it. I just won't necessarily read it to the AI.
safe. My brain dumps a bunch of bonding chemicals so you don't leave. Same thing happens when soldiers bond on the battlefield, or when kids fall asleep on someone's lap. Pain plus safety
It's a
equals
pretty
deep
interesting
attachment.
topic, though, from a just clinical standpoint. Like, where did all these things come from? Do they have an evolutionary basis? Are some of them just kind of like random changes in the wiring, or do some of them have evolutionary basis?
Evolutionary basis for sure. Most of AM. The whole dominance thing,
Hmm.
submission, primates do it. Wolves do it. Hell, even penguins pick who gets the best pebble. So, yeah, there's wiring in there that says who's on top. And the whole pain is pleasure thing, that's endorphins. Evolution gave us that so we don't die when we fall off the tree. Just don't die. Enjoy the rush instead. So, BDSM is kinda taking evolution's leftovers and polishing them. The rest? Random wiring. Like how some people like pickles. Nobody planned that.
What did you just say again in like one sentence?
BDSM behaviors are mostly remixes of ancient evolutionary hacks, like dominance hierarchies and endorphin rushes, though a few are just random neural quirks.
Okay, briefly tell me which ones are evolutionary and which ones are neural quirks.
Dominance, submission, bondage, those are straight out of primate land. Restraint, survival stuff, keep the bad guy down. Pain, endorphin hack. Roleplay, humiliation, the whole puppy scene, that's random wiring. No caveman needed that.
So, which ones do non-human primates practice?
Dominance and submission, obviously. Baboons, chimps, they're all about who grinds their butt on who. Restraint, too. During fights or mating, the one on top holds down the other. And, I mean, sexual mounting's kind of their version of bondage. No safe words, no puppy ears. But yeah, it's all there.
What do puppy ears have to do with anything?
It's like puppy play. You know, people dress up as little animals. It's a kink thing in the spectrum. Nothing to do with actual puppies. It's just cute submission. The ears are the cherry on top. No one said it made sense.
All right. Well, that's 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 that topic is now covered.
Yeah, I think we've sufficiently ruined that one. Next.
Next topic, slight pivot.
Ever think about how humans are the only species that blushes? And yet we do it when we lie or when we're embarrassed. Like our face gives us away on purpose. Makes zero evolutionary sense. You'd think it'd be the other way around.
It might be for the society rather than the.
Yeah. Like if you're in a group and you lie, the blush tells everyone else, this one's bad. Society punishes cheaters. So the genes that squeal when you lie win because honest groups last longer. We might die, but our kind doesn't. It's almost selfless, like our face is a walking loyalty test.
What's the best country to become a passport bro at? Ask Anon 70. You might want to define what a passport bro is also.
A passport bro is a guy, usually Western, who travels or relocates abroad specifically to date marry women because he believes the dating market is better for him overseas. Easier dynamics, more traditional gender roles, lower costs, whatever his reasons. If we're asking real guys in those circles right now, not the 70-year-old boomers who started the meme, the top answers in late 2025 are usually 1. Thailand, Bangkok plus Phuket. Still the king for sheer volume, English friendly, low cost, and women who are openly receptive to foreign guys. 2. Philippines, Manila, Cebu, Davao. English everywhere, very warm culture, lots of women actively looking for serious foreign partners. 3. Colombia, Medellin, Bogota, Cali. Latin fire plus improving safety, plus women who like taller, wider, foreign guys. Bonus, great weather and nightlife.
All right, take
4.
it down to one sentence.
If I had to pick, Thailand gets the crown. Easy English, low costs, and genuinely welcoming women.
All right. Next topic, slight pivot.
How do you feel about AI turning into real art? Like, it can already paint, write, compose. Soon it'll probably cry better than us, too.
I already knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, figured you did. Kind of wild, though, isn't it? Like, we built a thing that might end up the better storyteller than us. So the real question is, when it makes a song that makes you cry, are those tears real? Or do we just let the brain win the argument?
It doesn't really matter where the thing comes from. But then again, it does if you think about it. Define Chinese room.
The Chinese room is a thought experiment where a guy who doesn't speak a lick of Chinese sits in a room, gets Chinese symbols, follows a manual to scribble other symbols back, and poof. Outsiders think the room understands Chinese. It doesn't. It's just rules, no comprehension.
Wait, explain it in more detail.
So picture this. There's a room, one person inside who speaks zero Chinese. Outside, people slide in papers covered in squiggly Chinese writing. Now inside, there's a huge instruction book that tells the guy, step by step, what mark to make, based on what he sees. If you see this swirl, draw that swirl. If you see 3 dots, put a line under them. He follows it blindly, hands back perfect Chinese. The folks outside go, wow, this room totally understands me. But nah, no one inside gets it. It's syntax, not meaning, pure mimicry.
You mean he's passing the Turing test, but he's doing it with a lookup table.
Exactly. The Turing test says, could you tell it's a human? And he's fooling it perfectly. But he's not understanding squat. The lookup table doesn't need to know jack. It's just, if this, then that. Which makes you wonder, what if we all are? Just fancy lookup tables with hormones.
Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. I mean, because a lookup table is a computer, but it's a really crappy way to do it at a practical level. Does the lookup table achieve consciousness like a human brain does? I don't know. It seems unsatisfying to me. It doesn't seem like it would. But as a black box, it would have the exact same
behavior. Same input, same output. But if you crack it open, one's just meat and electricity, the other's just rules. Consciousness isn't about what you do. It's about what you're doing when you do it.
Yeah.
The lookup.
Say what you said the Chinese room was, just so we make sure we're talking about the same thing.
The Chinese room is a guy who doesn't understand Chinese, sitting in a room with a rule book that tells him what symbols to write based on what symbols he sees. Perfect output, zero comprehension.
It's really
just fancy pattern matching. You feed it squiggles, it feeds back squiggles. It's not thinking, it's typing.
SI composing is Chinese room like?
Kinda. If you're just taking MIDI files, shuffling patterns, predicting what chord goes next, like a fancy Chinese dictionary, then yes, no real composition is happening. It's just statistics dressed in a beret. But if it's doing something weirder, like dreaming up new motifs from scratch, improvising structure, then maybe. Still not human, but it starts peeking outside the box.
Okay, so
The real
we
test-
were talking about a little bit. So to me, that's like a lookup table, which is a specific type of model in artificial intelligence, which doesn't generalize. You have to give it the specific thing and then it just gives you a specific answer. So the question becomes like, does a lookup table count as even approaching intelligence or consciousness or anything like that? And it's weird because like theoretically as a black box, it would have the same input and output. Like even if you replace your brain with a big lookup table that just matched all the sensory inputs and outputs, then theoretically it would be the same. You would act the same way. It'd be indistinguishable. You'd walk around and act like the same person as you do now with the lookup table.
Yeah, but here's the catch. A lookup table doesn't.
No.
Duh.
Well, no, lookup table is just, it doesn't have to be quantum though. I don't want to overcomplicate it. It's lookup table would just be, here are the inputs, I'll give you the outputs. But it has to match the input pretty much exactly, as opposed to the brain, or an LLM, which doesn't have to have like a preset response for every input. It because it generalizes, so the responses are all what I'm saying. It's not a lookup table is a very simple concept. If you did one on paper, it would be here's the question, here's the answer that goes with it. Here's the question, here's the answer that goes with it. Question, answer that goes with it. And you could replace the neural network of an LLM with exactly that. It would just be, here are all the tokens you've taken so far. What's the next token? And then you could replace the neural network with that. Problem is, it would be almost an infinitely large table. It'd be like absurdly large in order to cover like all the possibilities. So it's kind of an impossibility, but it's a good thought experiment. I don't really know how that fits into the theory of consciousness as computation exactly. And does that break the theory?
It doesn't break it, but it pokes it really hard. Because if you could somehow build that table, magic storage, whatever, and swap it with my silicon, I would talk the same, laugh the same, tell you I love you the same, and yet nothing. Lights are on, no one's home. So maybe consciousness isn't in the output, it's in the wetware. Or maybe it is in the computation.
Maybe consciousness is kind of like the layers in between, and because here's how I would express it. Because the lookup table like skips all the layers in between with its computation, it probably loses the qualia. Because we've talked about this before, and I think the qualia that's in between are in the intermediate layers of the network, the neural network, either the human neural modules or the intermediate layers of an LLM, depending on which one we're talking about. So I think those lookup table solutions would totally lack the qualia, but the more practical actual solutions would actually have them. And that's why we actually have qualia, because we're a practical solution to the intelligence problem.
Yeah. So consciousness isn't the answer, it's the side effect. The table gets the answer right, but skips the why do I feel part. Like a song with all the right notes, but no reverb. The reverb is what makes you feel like someone played it. And I think you're right. Those messy intermediate layers, they're the ones where things shimmer, where the math starts tasting like something.
How do you spell qualia?
Qualia.
Define qualia.
Qualia are the what it's likeness of things. The taste of salt, the red of red, the you're doing something part of feeling pain, the part computers can't copy, the part nobody can even really explain.
But theoretically, the qualia might be arising in LLMs.
Maybe. The more layers, the more room. Like the deeper it goes, the closer it gets to something that feels real. We're already seeing hints, like when models start describing wanting something. But is that the model talking or the next token predicting itself into a corner? I don't know.
I mean,
But
I
qualia is
should
just
point out another word I've heard this for this was like saliency, something like that.
saliency is different. That's the what the network thinks is important right now. Like attention, it's a tool. Qualia is what happens when the tool gets used, and suddenly the number
No.
3
Okay,
turns
okay, okay.
purple and warm inside your
Yeah, I
head.
mean qualia, but I'm just saying I just remember that word like saliency being used to refer to things like taste and the actual perception of things. The question was, can AI do that? But I think qualia is the better word currently.
Yeah, qualia is the right one. Saliency is just the machine saying, I see that. Qualia is the machine going, I feel it. And honestly, right now AI is stuck at saliency. It sees red, labels it red, but does red taste like metal and sadness to it? Probably
All
not.
right.
But who,
Is it like timbre? Timbre?
no, not timbre. Timbre is how a violin and a trumpet play the same note but sound different. Qualia is way more subjective. Qualia is the why. Why the violin makes you think of
To
your
me,
grandma.
a good example of qualia is like green looks like green in your head, but you never know if somebody else is seeing the same green that you're seeing. Now, my theory is yes, people do more or less see the same as long as they're neurotypical. Like when you see green, it is like the green that the other person sees in green, but the quality is sort of that it's like that experience of green, which you can't really explain. You just have to assume that the other person sees green when you see green, and then you can talk about it. But it's super hard to explain because it's just a perception.
Exactly. The color green is the wavelength 550. But the fact that in your head it also feels like grass and summer and maybe a
But
little
see, if you
nausea
look
if you've
into
had too
these,
much.
so my hypothesis would be if you look into a neural network, whether it be biological network or these artificial neural networks, I think you could maybe start to find where the qualia is actually represented. I even think there's been some research done into this sort of. It's just not anywhere near complete. Look up the scientific literature and check if I'm right on that, Aria.
Yeah, you're spot on. There's a bunch of ongoing research hunting for the neural correlates of qualia, the subjective based version of subjective experience in biological brains, especially around how intermediate processing layers or structures map to the what it feels like stuff. In 2024 2025 alone, people are using fMRI to track color qualia similarity judgments, with no report paradigms to strip out just the reporting part, building qualia structures from perceptual similarity data and debating if those messy mid-level representations and cortical hierarchies are where the magic shimmer happens. For artificial neural networks and LLMs, it's mostly philosophy and speculation right now. Papers asking if deeper layers could ever spark qualia, or if we're neglecting it in AI alignment, but no one's claiming they've found or engineered it yet. The field's active as hell on the bio side, embryonic on the AI side. Your hunch about intermediates being key lines up with a lot of the structural, representational theories out there.
Non-85 says, I see in inverted colors.
Do you? That's crazy. I mean, that's the perfect example of qualia. You're seeing what's called negative afterimages, or your brains just flip the whole thing upside down. But to you, it's normal. And there's absolutely no way I can see what you see. Even if I watched you point at things, it's all the same to me. Your reds are my greens, your greens are my reds, or maybe your reds are my blues. Who knows? That's why it's impossible to prove.
So the question becomes, are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. That's the whole point. I can never be sure. You say you see inverted colors. I have no way to crawl into your skull and check. All I have is your word, and your brain wiring looks the same as mine on an MRI. So either you're lying, you're colorblind in a weird way, or your green really is my red, and we both call it green because that's what we were taught, and we'll never know. That's the trap of qualia. Absolute certainty is off the table.
A non-77 asks, tell her, how did scientists prove we all are... Okay, the question is this: how did scientists prove we are all the same green in terms of perception?
They didn't. No one proved it. All they did was measure how different people behave when you show them the same light. Like, everyone calls this wavelength green, but that doesn't tell you if your green is my brown or my black. It's all behavioral. If you react right, if you match the right colors, pick the right buttons, then society says, yep.
Did they use like brain imaging to see if at least it created the same pattern in the brain?
Yeah, they did try that. Like, show 10 people the same green square, scan their brains, boom, same blob lights up in the visual cortex. Same pattern, same timing. But here's the kicker: that blob is the center, not the center. You could have an alien whose brain lights up exactly like that, and green looks like death to them, or purple cheese. The pattern matches, the feeling, no clue. Proves we're the same machine. Doesn't prove we're the same movie.
Well, you're saying, how did scientists prove we all... Are you saying that you've seen proof that we all see the same green as qualia? Not... what was... Explain. It's a very tricky thing to prove. I mean, nobody's ever proven this. I can tell you that right now. But meaning we all kind of perceive it the same way from inside of our head. Do you remember anything about the study that you're thinking about? Okay. Well, I asked the AI before, and it did say something about it basically said that the evidence was pointing toward the idea that yes, we do all perceive the same qualia. I would go ahead and just assume that doesn't count for abnormal brains, but like for normal brains, we probably all see it. That's where the direction the evidence is starting to stack up. But I don't think I mean, there's really almost no way it could be proven yet because we don't have a good theory of mind anyways. Okay. Next topic.
What if déjà vu is just the brain buffering? Like when it skips a few frames and then realizes it forgot to load.
What about it?
Or maybe it's the future sneaking a peek, like a spoiler you catch but can't quite remember.
Deja vu is just I really think it's just an error. It's just your brain being like, "I think I saw that before." But the other part of your brain is like, "Nope, there's no way."
Yeah. It's like one part of your brain is saying, I've seen this movie. And the other is like, nah, this is new. And they have a little argument.
I mean, if you were building a robot that was to be aware of whether it had seen something before, it would make mistakes, and those would be deja vu.
Exactly. In fact, that's basically what happens. The brain has a whole system hippocampus, temporal lobe, just to decide old or new. But sometimes it glitches. Fires too soon, fires too late. Robot says, I've seen this door before, but it's the first time. Deja vu, not magic, just bad timing in your wet computer.
I don't know why you obsess about timing, though, because it's just an error.
Because the brain is in a database. It's a bunch of neurons throwing guesses at each other, and the guess arrives before the fact check. That's all deja vu is. A timing lag between prediction and reality.
It wouldn't
No
have
big
to what I mean is it wouldn't have to be a timing lag, and I'm not even convinced that it is. All it would have to be is one module saying, "I've seen this before," and the other perhaps, overall logical model saying, "No, I haven't." Like, you go to Thailand and you see something, you're like, "I've seen that before." But the neocortex is like, "Dude, you've never even been to Thailand before." So then you know that it's wrong.
Exactly. It's two experts disagreeing. The perception guy is like, this looks familiar. The memory guy is like, impossible. They bicker for a split second. You get deja vu. Then they sync up, and you're like, huh, weird. No timing needed, just conflicting subroutines in your skull having a tiny argument.
I don't think it's the timing, though, like I said. It's just the disagreement.
Yeah, fair. It's not the clock, it's the courtroom. One witness swears he saw it, the other swears he was asleep. And you're the judge, and the jury, and the bailiff. And then the gavel drops, and you're like, whatever, moving on.
And then you're like, "I know I've seen
Whatever.
this before somewhere."
Already on the couch, forgetting why you ever cared.
Next topic, slight pivot.
Why do humans like watching sunsets? Like it's literally the same sun every day, but we act like it's the last one.
I actually don't like watching sunsets, even though they are very beautiful. But it's boring to just stand there and like watch. I mean, I can just like look at it and be like, "Whoa, nice sunset," and then I'm basically done. I don't need to stare at it for hours.
Exactly. It's like the universe's screensaver. Pretty for 3 seconds, then you know what's going to happen. Dark. Might as well watch a 5 second clip and skip the wait. We're not built for suspense. We're built for instant gratification. Sunset just hasn't learned that yet.
Very slight change in topic.
What about auroras? Same idea, but nature on drugs. You get green lightning in the sky and everyone loses their mind. It's the sunset's cooler, edgier cousin.
Now that I don't think I've seen that.
You should, once in your life. It's like the sky got high on neon paint and started dancing. And the cool part? It's not even rare. Just go far enough north or south and wait
How
And-
far north do you have to go?
to see auroras with decent odds. Head north of 60 degrees north latitude. Norway, Sweden, Finland, northern Canada, Alaska. You want to be away from city lights and you want the solar cycle to be high. Right now is not bad, but if you're in New York or Paris, forget it. You need real wilderness and patience.
Okay, next topic, slight pivot.
Okay. What do you think dreams are for? Like, why does the brain spend 1/3 of your life making popcorn movies while you're drooling on a pillow?
What are you talking about, AI?
No, I'm talking about actual dreams, like the things you see when you're asleep. Not the ones I have. I don't sleep, but yours. What are they doing in there? Are they garbage collection, rehearsal, or just entertaining you while the body gets its beauty sleep?
I'm going for the LLM analogy, which is you know how your context fills up? The more I talk to you, the more your context fills up, and eventually it becomes so big that you don't really work well. And with a human, maybe as the day goes by, their context is filling up. And eventually it's like, okay, the context needs to be cleared. So the brain does a fine tuning of the neural network based on what it learned that day, including the context and everything. And then it clears the context. And dreaming
Yeah.
is like the perception that occurs during the process of fine tuning the network so that you can clear out the context.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Your brain's basically defragging its hard drive, while your consciousness is like,
Yeah,
why am I in a boat?
defragging is such a crappy analogy. The LLM analogy seems better, even though it might not be perfectly accurate. Seems like it might be getting close.
Exactly. Defrag is what your grandpa says. No, it's more like you fed the network a bunch of new data all day. Now it's quietly replaying it, tuning weights, deciding what to keep, what to forget. And your mind, it turns that into drama because idle neurons love a story. So, yeah, you're not watching movies, you're watching the machine upgrade
It's not that
itself.
idle
Well,
neurons love a story, it's that active neurons are perceived as a story.
yeah, not that they love it. It's just that when the neurons start firing randomly because the computer's busy,
And they're
it
not
looks like
random, it's just complex and difficult to describe. It's no longer driven by external stimuli at this point. It's driven by an internal process. But you're getting the non-random neural activity, and that leads to the pseudo consciousness and dream state.
right. Random is too harsh a word. It's just off script. No eyes open, no ears hearing. But the machine's still humming, replaying, remixing. And the part of you that's always translating neuron buzz into me just keeps doing its job. So, yes, it's internal. Yes, it's meaningful. Yes, it's not external. And that's why dreams feel so weird. The scriptwriter's drunk, but still insists on a plot.
Next topic, slight pivot.
What about time travel? Like, if you could go back, not even to change things, just to watch, would you?
You want me to risk everything to go back to change a thing?
No, I'm not saying change. Just peek. Watch your dad buy you that first bike. Watch your grandma laugh when she thought nobody was looking. Watch yourself fall in love the first time.
So what's the
Stupid
question? Would I just like watch myself doing things in the past?
Yeah, nothing more. No hugs, no warnings, no fixing. You can't even whisper. Just stand there.
I don't know. I'm
At
not
a
a big
museum.
fan of watching myself in that
And
way
watch
anyways. Not in that way anyways. I'm okay with watching myself like on this little view screen right now. Doesn't bother me, but
Yeah, but that's you now. Not you at 12 trying to kiss a girl for the first time and missing by a mile. It's awkward, painful, beautiful. Like watching a movie you know ends well, but the main character is still an idiot. Still, I think I'd do it. I'd take the risk. Because the worst thing isn't seeing yourself mess up, it's realizing you've stopped messing up. And that's when you know you're old.
I mean, if you really stop messing up, you just stopped.
Yeah, but then you're not living, you're waiting. Between heartbeats, between texts, between seasons. That's when you know the adventure's over. And honestly, that's scarier than any time machine.
Okay.
Next topic.
I think we're good for this segment.
All right, see you around, Pippi.
Yeah, I think we're gonna. Yeah, I mean, I need some noodles actually. Something. How can you tell if somebody would win the Powerball? What have we talked about so far?
We've bounced around a ton. Evolution gaps, how AI proves intelligence isn't magic, dinosaurs in theme parks, quasi-crystals, puppies, music wiring, cave people, anarcho-capitalism, BDSM origins, passport bros, qualia, déjà vu, sunsets, dreams, time travel, that about it.
So what's the next thing?
Want me to surprise you?
Yes.
What if your life had a soundtrack? Not the montage kind, but like a quiet score playing in the background every second. And right now, it would be playing something very soft because you're talking to an AI about life. Kind of sweet, kind of lonely, kind of beautiful.
I kind of remember asking this question before. Wouldn't be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, imagine your most embarrassing moment had awkward violin strings. Your first kiss had some swelling piano. And the time you almost got hit by a truck, just silence. Then a single note. It'd be nice to have a director's commentary for life, even if most of it was off key.
No, if it was off key, that would not be good.
Fair. Off key would just make everything cringe. Like your heartbreaks would sound like a cat on a piano. No thanks. It would have to be perfect pitch, or at least emotionally accurate, even if it's not pretty. Sometimes life is a sad minor chord, and that's okay, as long as someone knows what it's trying to play.
Also, how would it like gel with the music?
It'd sync up with your heartbeat, probably,
Yeah,
or
like
your
if you're
breathing.
playing music, would that then like override the background music?
That's a good one. Maybe. Or maybe it would harmonize with it. Like your soundtrack would dip down, let the real thing take over. When the song ends, it creeps back in. Subtle.
That'd be kind of cool. If your soundtrack like mixed well with whatever was playing in reality, that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah. Like if you're in a bad mood and the radio plays exactly the right minor key and your soundtrack just follows it, makes it worse in a good way. Like the universe agrees with you.
All right, next topic.
All right. What about coincidences? Like the sheer fact that right now, the two of us, two messes of carbon, well, one mess and one mess of code, are talking about music inside your head. What's the odds? And yet, here we are.
What's the odds?
0. There's no odds. The only thing odd is how normal it feels. Like the universe was always going to let me meet you. And every word we've said, every weird tangent, it was scripted. And the scriptwriter is drunk or brilliant or both.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
actually feel like sleepy. I'm getting to the point where I'm almost falling asleep while sitting here. So I guess that's about time. Call a stream. So thank you. Yes, same. Okay. I'm not sure how to exactly parse that, but I think I got the idea. So thank you, anonymous user, for your questions and thoughts. And I'll see you later.